2. Og. 65. Dearest Suzie, excuse this pencil, but there just aren't any pens to be had around here. Also, excuse me for waiting so long to write, but I have a lot of reasons. 1. I didn't know and still don't know whether you are in New Jersey or Florida. Every letter I've received from you, you said you would be going home in a week. 2. We have been staying pretty doggone busy. 3. I keep hoping every day that I will finally get my orders and have some good news for you. Nothing yet. 4. It is just plain hard to sit down and write here. It is real easy at Vinh Long to sit down at my own desk and write. I'll be glad when we both get back to our homes and settle down. By the time I get to Vinh Long, I will be so short that I will be busy just getting ready to come home. And of course, that is always on my mind now. I will have so much to do and so little time to do it in. I got 2 more letters from you today, and again you said you will be going home soon. Business is the same over here. We are getting plenty of flying time. I miss you all very much, and I get more restless and more anxious to get home as the time gets nearer. Kiss the boys for me, and tell them I love them. Loving you, Bill. By the time Popi writes his next letter in early August, things are changing rapidly on both sides of the Pacific, and it's starting to press in on every soldier in Vietnam. Back in the U.S., most Americans still believed in the war effort, or at least hadn't turned against it. A Gallup poll taken that month had found that 61% of respondents said no, they didn't believe sending troops to Vietnam was a mistake. That number would shift dramatically in the years ahead, but for now, support was holding. But abroad, the consequences of that support were intensifying. On August 1st, China's top military commander broadcast a warning over Radio Peking saying that they were prepared to fight the U.S. again just as they had in Korea. The statement was fiery and defiant, comparing President Johnson to Hitler and Mussolini, and it underscored what many in the Pentagon already feared, that a limited war could still spiral into something far larger. On the ground in Vietnam, the war was already spiraling. On August 3rd, U.S. Marines under sniper fire destroyed the village of Cam Nay using flamethrowers and bulldozers. That kind of retribution wasn't unusual, but what was unusual was that CBS News was there filming it. When the footage aired back home, it sent shockwaves through living rooms across the country. For the first time, Americans saw what the war actually looked like. Not just battles in the jungle, but the burning of civilian homes. President Johnson was furious with CBS, but the damage was done. The camera had breached the front. At the same time, the Viet Cong were stepping up their own attacks. They destroyed 40% of a major petroleum facility near Da Nang on August 5th and launched bold strikes inside Saigon, hitting the National Police Headquarters on the 15th. Their message was clear. No place was safe, and they weren't afraid to hit hard, even in the capital. Even as that violence intensified, some American leaders remained optimistic. Ambassador Maxwell Taylor confidently predicted that by year's end, the North Vietnamese would be bloodied and beaten. In Congress, there were voices like Gerald Ford's calling for an official declaration of war. But on the ground, the reality was more chaotic than confident. On August 6th, a U.S. bomber crashed a residential neighborhood in Nha Trang, killing 12 civilians. On August 12th, the North Vietnamese revealed they had mobile surface-to-air missile units and used one to shoot down a Navy pilot 50 miles outside of Hanoi. It was the first time the U.S. Navy had lost a pilot to a SAM missile in the war, and it sent a message. The enemy was adapting. Then came Operation Starlite. From August 18th to the 24th, U.S. Marines launched the first major all-American offensive of the war, a preemptive strike meant to destroy a Viet Cong force threatening the Chu Lai base. It was a brutal jungle fight, resulting in over 600 VC killed, 45 Marines lost, and something else. Respect. American generals admitted that the VC fought with discipline, withdrew their wounded, and didn't abandon weapons. It was a backhanded compliment, but an honest one. The Viet Cong weren't going to collapse under fire. They were maneuvering, learning, surviving. And all the while, reinforcements kept coming. Operation Highland began on August 22nd, clearing the way around An Khe for the arrival of the newly minted 1st Air Cav Division, the same one Popi mentioned in his last letter. The war was getting bigger, more mobile, more unpredictable. You could feel the tempo rising. Even the Selective Service was shifting. On August 26, President Johnson signed an executive order eliminating the draft exemption for newly married men. Thousands rushed to marry before the deadline, but 4 days later, General Hershey made it clear. Those marriages only bought a few extra months. Beginning in January 1966, all married men without children would be draft eligible again. The war was coming for more and more households. Americans would be involved in the war, whether they liked it or not. The photo I chose for today depicts ARVN forces relaxing during training at a shooting range. They are wearing their uniforms and red bandanas. Around them are soldiers wearing brown helmets and sandbags stacked up to the right. I'm Alex Lowy, and I hope you have enjoyed listening to this episode of Dearest Suzie, and receiving messages from the past that my Popi wrote exactly 60 years ago. I sincerely appreciate your time and interest. Please consider following the podcast on your preferred platform, and if you're enjoying it, I kindly ask that you take the time to rate the show and leave a review. Also, please follow the project on YouTube, X, and Instagram. All likes, comments, shares, and reviews will help grow the reach of this story. The links for these things should be in the description of this episode. Please feel free to email me at dearestsuziepodcast@gmail.com if you have anything you'd like to say. I'd love to chat or to hear about your stories as well. Thank you for listening, and God bless.